Yo, what is good, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the first part of What If Itadori Was Noob Saibot. Now, if you guys do enjoy this part, remember, be sure to like, subscribe, all of that jazz. All the links are down in the description, all the music, my boy Saint, somebody else, that music might be down there as well. And yeah, that's pretty much that. So, if you guys do enjoy this, all that. And yeah, that's pretty much that. So just remember, God's awesome, you guys are too, and let's just get straight into this epic What If. Let's go! Now this story is about a young boy. This young boy being called Yuji Itadori. However, the story isn't going to start with our main character. It is going to start with a reasonably tall man with dark black hair. Obviously it's going to be dark black hair, and he's just come back from a mission, come back from a assassination. This man, he doesn't have any cursed energy. In fact, he's got 0 cursed energy. However, that does not stop him from being the best at what he does. You see, this man, he isn't any normal curse user or curse energy user or jujutsu sorcerer. This man kills jujutsu sorcerers. This man's name being Toji Fushiguro. Now, Toji, he has got a family, and him and his kind of wife have just gotten married. However, he's just finished this mission and he's just not feeling great. He and his wife haven't been on the best terms at the moment, and he just wants to get away from it all as he goes to a bar and sits down, drinking to his heart's content. He sees a younger woman kind of sitting at the bar not far from him. So, doing what every reasonable drunk person would do, drunk man, he goes and talks to her. As they talk and they get along, and they end up in bed. As it happens, he then leaves that morning without saying goodbye, etc, etc, you know, going to, you know, banging and dashing, pretty much, as they end up. He leaves, and everything seems normal. She's not really too mad about it, as she kind of expected it, but oh well, as she isn't really minding it until she starts getting sick. And starts not feeling superly great, as Toji, he is kind of chilling out at the moment before he gets a phone call. He's not really sure what this phone call's about, but he looks at it and it's a unknown number, so he picks it up thinking it might be a call, or like a work-based call, as he picks it up and he hears the young woman talking to him as she asks him to meet up at a park nearby, as he says sure, and they go. Her revealing when they get there that she is pregnant with twins. Toji is freaking the heck out, as it's been multiple months, like after he's been with this woman, his wife is pregnant as well, and he's just doesn't know what to do. As he's just kind of freaking out. This woman, it's been 5, nearly 6 months. And how did she even get his number? Back when he was still drunk, he ended up giving her his number because he was drunken. Yeah, just not thinking straight, really. So, him freaking out, he does what any logical person would do and just starts cursing at her, telling her that he just never wants to see her again and never kind of annoy her with any of this kind of drama with the kids or anything. In fact, he hopes the kids die in childbirth or die before then so that he doesn't have to deal with it. As he says this, he just storms off, cursing at them, telling them they should have never been born and they are just horrible things. A few months later, and we have the young woman, her last name being Itadori, as she is in the hospital giving birth. As she's kind of pushing, a child is then pushed out. As they're looking through, however, they see that the other child isn't there. It's not like it died or anything, it's just completely disappeared. And they're really confused. Like, it wasn't a faulty scan because they scanned multiple times and it was still there. So they've no idea on what's happening, but the child just vanished. Like, it's just gone from thin air. And they look down at the other child, seeing it has some ominous aura. And as they give the child to the woman, she then holds the child until she starts bleeding. As she's bleeding, she then slowly succumbs to her wounds, dying due to childbirth, and leaving the kid alone. After they're left there, the child being stuck in the doctor's arms, having no mother left to take care of them, or take care of him, the doctors end up putting him in foster care. The woman naming the child Yuji Itadori before she dies, and he ends up being tossed around into the system. As he's put into the system, he's tossed around a few other foster homes. Through these foster homes, not gonna lie, he's beaten up through most of them before then being taken away. As when he's kind of chilling out, he's about 4 years old. He starts hearing this strange voice in his head. He can't get it out. It's constantly talking at him. And it's not just talking at him, it's insulting him, degrading him, telling him he's useless and will never amount to this world, and he's just horrible. This thing, it's the worst being on the planet, he thinks, and he just can't let the voice go away. It's like the voice is actually there in his head, constantly talking to him. The doctor's saying that he must have schizophrenia, and this just gives the foster parents even more reason to beat and just bully this kid, as he's continually tossed around other foster homes, going through about 11 of them in a year before he arrives at 5 years old. As when he's 5, he's just there in a corner, huddled up, as the foster father is kicking at him, telling him he's useless, he sucks, he'll never amount to anything, and that he would just be better to curl up and die. As this happens, a hand reaches out. Not Yuji's hand, but a pure black hand reaches out, grabbing onto the man's foot and crushing it. The man screaming out in pain, not knowing what's going on, as he can't see anything. His foot just felt like it was being crushed, like grabbed by some sort of hand before then being crushed, and he can't see anything. It's freaking him out, as he then feels himself being pulled before then being beaten down. Not by some kid's punches. It doesn't even feel like an adult's punches. It feels like a superhuman is beating on him. Every punch is shattering his bones, and whatever it is just won't stop. Yuji looking at this thing as it's completely manifested and pushed itself out of him, as it just runs up and gone on top of the man, just punching and kicking and just slamming his fists down, hammering onto the man until he's near death. After this, the man is put into the ICU with the other kind of people in the family calling up the police and the kind of other foster homes or whatever, and the adoption centers, and taking the child back, taking Yuji back into the system. As this happens, he's chucked back in, put into solitary isolation at the kind of adoption center, when he sees a tall man with long black hair and strange black earring kind of things in his earlobes, and his hair's pulled back, with half of it being in like a sort of bun and the rest of it being pulled back down to about hip length. This man stating that his name is Suguro Geto. When this is stated, he asks if he can talk to the boy. He thinks his name is Yuji Itadori. As this is stated, the kind of adoption people say that he's in solitary confinement for bad behaviour, and that it wouldn't be the wisest idea to talk to him as he's mentally unstable. But Suguro, he doesn't care. He wants to talk to the young boy and see what he's all about. As this happens, he's put into the room as he sits down sits down in front of Yuji. Yuji just sitting down against a wall, not really caring of what happens. The man asking, like, what's going on, why is he here, and Yuji saying that he's cursed and that he's got some strange thing inside of him. He doesn't know, but it beat his foster father and it nearly killed him. He nearly killed him, and Geto just tells him that it's not his fault. The father, he didn't understand that Yuji is special. Yuji is powerful. He can be something better than anyone here could really understand. Yuji kind of looks up, asking what he's talking about, and Geto just flatly asks, can you see strange creatures floating around or walking around? Grotesque and not humanely looking. They don't look like any other creature they would have seen. And Yuji, shocked, just nods his head slowly. Yuji, being told that he was crazy his entire life, just thought it was him that saw these strange creatures. And Geto tells him, no, those things are called curses, explaining everything about Jujutsu sorcerers, about Jujutsu, about curse techniques, and cursed energy. Yuji asking, like, how does he know this, and how does he know he's got all this, and Geto tells him he's been following him for the past few months, knowing that he has some strong power inside of him. So Geto ends up taking Yuji agreeing to go back with him as they go back to his little Buddhist temple, I think it is, or his temple that they go to. Over the next 5 years, Yuji learns pretty much most of his abilities. He knows what most of his abilities are. He knows how to use all of his abilities. Knowing that his ability is called, his curse technique is called shadow manipulation, and he can pretty much manipulate any darkness or shadows that is around pretty much anything that's around him. He also, when he's 6 years old, meets formally the strange shadowy curse and voice in his head, as the voice tells him that his name is Saibot. Well, that's what he wanted to be called, as he thinks it's a pretty sick name. Yuji kinda agreeing with Saibot, telling him that in order to get cursed energy, he has to feed off negative emotions. So he'll let him like use his abilities and pretty much talk over him. Him explaining that, not gonna lie, he's pretty much his brother. Like, they were originally supposed to be twins apparently, but their father or something cursed them, and then he ended up morphing into his shadow. So that's how that went. And Yuji, kind of confused, but just nods his head as the cursed Saibot explains that Yuji is he's going to allow Yuji to use his power. However, he's still going to degrade and insult him, as that's going to be the best way to get and fully unlock his powers. So he's going to completely let him control him or use his abilities however he wants, but he's going to be insulted and be told that he's horrible and just be degraded his entire life. So Yuji agrees with this, as he wants to be as strong as possible, never letting himself or anyone else be treated like he was again. When he's over the next 5 years, as I said, he is pretty much learns all his abilities, as he finds he has full shadow manipulation, with Saibot being able to split into multiple other shadows, that he can split them off, but the more he splits off, the weaker they get, as he can split off hundreds and hundreds, but they could be taken down by 1 or 2 hits. However, the main Saibot body will be as strong as he is. He also learns that he is able to teleport and form strange portals. This kind of thing is pretty cool, as he's able to travel long distances as long as he can channel and kind of just lock onto a certain cursed energy point, being kind of like instant transmission from Dragon Ball, but with shadows. He also learns and figures out he has an innate fighting prowess, him being able to fight perfectly and just extremely well as soon as he starts fighting with the other members of Geto's crew. As at the start, it is only him and the 2 twins who he really can't handle. Like, he just cannot handle them. Like, he just thinks that they're the worst people, and he pretty much hates them. But yeah, so as he kind of does this, he also learns he can create other shadow weapons and has extreme superhuman abilities as well. When he is 10 years old, he is already the second strongest in the group, only being bested by Geto himself, and he is by far the best hand-to-hand fighter among them, which is very strange, but no one really questions it, as he is extremely hateful and aggressive. But that is only when you get to know him. When you first see him, he has the most terrifyingly cold demeanor you could ever find. As being brought up the way he was, it is pretty easy for him to be manipulated by Geto and the others, that normal humans, or monkeys as they're called, are horrible. They are just the worst and they need to be exterminated, only being left for only leaving the world with curse users, or only leaving curse users left in the world, as through this, not only will the world be better, but curses will be gone as well. Yuji completely agrees with this and absorbs it perfectly, as he just hates people in general. Like, anyone that doesn't have cursed energy, or just normal people, more people who don't understand the kind of Jujutsu world or curse world, he hates. If you understand the curse world and you understand what's in it, he doesn't hate them as much, but he just hates regular people, as the only people he's met that are regular have tried to beat him and attack him and just brutalize him. So he completely hates it. His attire is pretty much what you see in the thumbnail. His skin is a dark black kind of, or dark grey colour, is to insinuate his shadow abilities, with him having all dark kind of gear, with having a strange dark armoured gi, a hood and a black mask, having other equipment and gauntlets and other accessories and other clothing on top of that, being exactly what you'd see in the thumbnail and what Noob Saibot wears. Throughout the time being with the group, he has learned to like who he likes and who he dislikes. As I said before, he absolutely despises the twins. He just absolutely hates them. He thinks they're the worst people, and if it wasn't for Geto being there to stop him, he would kill him. Or he would kill them no problem, as he just hates them with every part of his soul. With Laru, or whatever his name is, the strange blonde dude, he doesn't really mind him. He finds him a bit weird. He doesn't like anybody really, apart from Geto, since Geto brought him in. But he finds this guy a bit more, he can handle him a bit more. He's a bit more tolerable towards Lore than he would be towards the twins, but he just finds him a bit weird. Miguel, Neji, and Manami, he finds them alright. He doesn't hate them, he doesn't love them. He thinks Miguel is a kind of nice guy. He thinks that Neji is a bit of a dark figure, kind of like him, but he just thinks he's a bit weird. And he finds Nanami just strange. He thinks that she's too over the top. But, oh well. He's not going to stop her. He likes them more than he likes the others. One day, around the age of, when Yuji's around the age of 11 to 12 years old, a person comes in wishing to help Geto with his cause. This man being a curse user, him stating that he wants to join the cause and he can be extremely helpful. As this is stated, Geto asks what's his abilities and how he could help them, as he's already got his everything he needs, so what could he bring in? The man stating that he is a powerhouse. He's got, his curse technique is multiple slash, and he is able to, with one slash, cause tens to hundreds of slashes in one direction, being able to take down anything in its path. Geto saying that he already has kind of something like that, but I don't know, he could be helpful, but if he wants to truthfully and truly be a part of this and is 100% a part of this, maybe he could pick kind of someone to test fight with him looking at a young boy, or the curse user looking at Yuji, saying that that kid shouldn't be here. How old is he? 10? Younger than that? Mate, he could probably squash him like a fly. This kid is absolutely just, he just shouldn't be here. He is just a horrible person. Well, not a horrible person, but he's just, pretty much the guy's just talking himself up and telling Yuji that he sucks and that he really shouldn't be here. He doesn't like how Yuji is treated as a strong person, pointing him out, stating that he wants to fight him. Yuji steps forward as shadows start forming around his chest before a handle pops out. Yuji grabs onto it as he starts to pull something out, but Geto puts his hand out, telling them that they can go to the training ground. The man stating that, sure, like, he'll teach this kid a lesson and put him down a peg or two with, and if so, he can even kill him. With Yuji, he's straight up about to kill this man here. Like, he's got absolutely no restraint, but Geto stops him, telling him that he will have his chance. When they're out there, they stand out facing each other. Geto telling the guy that if he can land one hit on Yuji, he can join. However, this is not a professional fight, so if he somehow dies to this weak kid, then he won't stop it. The man saying that, you know, why would he want to just land one hit on the kid when he could destroy him? He could kill the kid easily with no problems. Geto starting the fight as the man charges towards Yuji, pulling off two swords off of his back as he slashes them towards Yuji. A bunch of massive slashes pretty much attack or launch towards Yuji, but as they nearly reach him, he disappears. The man wondering what's going on before he then feels a strange pain in his side, seeing a sickle. What is that? As he then turns to see the kid there with him, Yuji, holding onto a dark sickle before then tearing it out of the man's side, ripping out a side of his body, putting out a gigantic slash. The man, not fazed by this since he's insane, swings down his sword at full strength, swinging it down as multiple slashes slash down, destroying the arena and training ground just there. As it happens, the man then goes in for a punch and just slices at Yuji, but he just can't hit him. Before this happens, he then feels something fall beneath him, or feel something beneath him before he starts falling. As he looks down, seeing that he sees himself, not once but a bunch of times, he sees himself falling. As he looks up and looks to the sides, he's in a portal kind of, what would it be? Like a kind of portal, strange kind of, yeah, like a portal thing where he's just going down and down and down and down. He won't stop. As once he gets through the portal, he goes through the same portal. One portal's on top of the other. As he's just in a loop, he won't stop. As it happens, he then feels himself being caught and like caught by the wrist as he looks down to see, or looks up to see, the kid holding onto his arm before then being propelled out of the, propelled out of the sort of portal. As he then, Yuji doesn't let go. He feels a tight grip on Yuji before then something insane happens. He sees another Yuji, but it's not the normal kid, it's a completely dark shadow version of him. As he sees this, the shadow goes to his other side, grabbing onto the guy's other arm as Yuji grabs onto his leg, and the other guy grabs onto his other leg as well. As another shadow comes out, summoning a spear or a sickle and slicing down the man's back, severing his spine and going straight vertically down, completely paralyzing the man, but he isn't dead, as he can't move, but he sure can still feel it, as he feels himself being torn in half. Yuji is pulling as hard as he can, his shadow is doing the same, as he starts feeling it, the ripping. His groin is starting to rip apart as it goes up, his pelvis rips in half. As it goes up even further, his rib cage and his spine is ripping and just splitting apart as it then reaches up, ripping right up to his neck before his skull is ripped in two, as they both stand there holding up the man's body before dropping it. Both halves of the body dropping to the floor, completely lifeless, obviously. Yuji really isn't fazed by this. He has killed for less, as He's been sent out on missions to kill sorcerers because he can. Like, this kid has no moral compass. Like, he's actually a psychopath. Like, I mean, all the characters in Jujutsu Kaisen are psychopaths, but this kid's just insane. Around 3 years later, Yuji is 14 years old, as over the past years, people have come in for Geto's amazing Buddha and strange, just godly like powers they see, or they at least think so, as they see him as some sort of deity himself, some sort of gift from God. He isn't, but they see him as that. As they come in for his help with certain things, with these kind of strange pressures they have on themselves. As over this time, Yuji has gotten nearly to the same level as Geto. Like, they can fight for hours and it won't stop. Yuji being able to avoid all of his attacks, learning that he can just envelop himself and turn himself into a shadow for a short amount of time. A short amount of time being like 2 seconds, but it is enough to avoid an attack. As this happens, Geto tells them all that they will be going to the Jujutsu High Technical School in Tokyo. As this is kind of explained, they're ready. They get kind of hyped for this. They head off. While this is happening at Jujutsu High, the Tokyo branch of Jujutsu High, Panda, Maki, Toge Inumaki, and Yuta are just walking, as Yuta says that he's got a strange feeling. He's not really sure what it is, with Panda telling him that it happens a lot, but don't worry, it's just, it will happen every once in a while, but it won't be anything. As that happens, they see a strange darkness form in front of them before a guy hit their age, or at least it looks like their age, steps out. This kid being menacing as hell. Like, it is insane. This kid being in a strange kind of assassin's uniform, as they're wondering what this is, before they then see a gigantic pelican flying from the sky as it lands down, showing the rest of the group. Yuji just standing there menacingly, while the first year students are freaking out. They have no idea what's going on. As this happens, Geto jumps down and pretty much greets them all, being really friendly, as he's all nice, saying like Toge Inumaki with the famous cursed speech, Panda being a cursed corpse, or a cursed corpse. That's pretty cool. And Yuta Akotsu is just insane, with his amazing kind of curse inside of him being Rika, and just as an insane amount of cursed energy in general. It's just awesome, as they're kind of just, he's praising them all until he gets to Maki, saying that, pretty much insulting her, calling her a monkey. Yuji looking over to her, but not with hateful eyes. Kinda almost, not really sympathy, but because he doesn't feel sympathy. He's got no emotions. But he just looks at her blankly. Like, not with any hatred, not with anything, just blankly. As he kind of stands there, the rest of the teachers arrive, with Gojo arriving, telling Geto to pretty much just piss off. As that all happens, Geto declares that they will be having a gigantic battle. They will be having a fight of a lifetime. They will be doing just a gigantic fight, really. As this kind of happens, they're not really sure what's going to happen, but they're going to get ready for it. A few months later, and Yuji goes to Shinjuku for the night parade of 100 demons. As this is all prepared, he heads off, going there as he's pretty much chilling there for a few hours until the signal is given. Miguel giving them the signal as they see that Gojo has just teleported Inumaki and Panda away, realizing that he must have seen through it. Yuji immediately teleporting in, not for Gojo but for other sorcerers, jumping in and cutting them down. As he jumps in, he summons multiple scythes, and not scythes but sickles, and just cuts them down, stabbing one into one of their throats and just ripping the throat out, severing it and just letting the body or the neck just fall back and just ooze blood before grabbing onto the guy's head, ripping it off and throwing it at another sorcerer at high speeds, the skull crushing into the other guy's head, killing the other person from the impact. It was like a cannonball hitting the guy's face. As this happens, he's just continues slaughtering sorcerers. A few grade 1 sorcerers try their luck, but it doesn't work. Nothing happens. Like, one of them jumps down, trying to attack him. He goes in, teleporting behind him and grabbing him by this kind of spine, ripping it out and using the guy as a just hammer really, and slapping the other people, just hammering them with the person's body, the person's neck snapping from the impact and dying, with the others being launched back. As this happens, the guy is flying back as he's caught, or both of them are caught. As they're wondering what's going on, as they see that Yuji is walking towards them, they look behind them to see shadows. As this happens, they then feel a sharp pain in their chests as they see blades sticking out of it. A gigantic blade going straight through their chest before the blade spins around and slices straight through, cutting their skull in half. As that happens, Yuji then looks up, seeing that Satoru Gojo is putting their hands on Miguel, bullying, I wouldn't say his friend, but bullying a guy he almost kinda likes. As this happens, Yuji teleports right up there, tanking a hit from, well, meant for Miguel from Gojo. As the hit happens, one of the, Saibot just catches it. Saibot being blown straight back and just disappearing, but he catches it and nullifies the hit. Gojo being kind of surprised as Yuji dashes in, putting their hands on Gojo, but realizing that nothing's happening. Like, the guy isn't even flinching at his punches. As he goes in for another punch, he punches in and looks to the side, realizing that it isn't affecting him. Like, it's not even touching him. Like, he's got an invisible barrier. Him looking up and just sighing, using his sickles to try and slice at him, trying to cut him down, but nothing is working. Using a bunch of his other kind of clones, creating more Saibot clones and other shadow clones to try and kill this guy, knowing that he can't, but he's going to at least try, as he tries to slice the guy down, but it just won't work. As this happens, Gojo just sighs and hits Yuji straight in the solar plexus, sending him flying. He sends him a few blocks away, as he's just sent flying away. As this happens, Yuji smashes into a building and coughs up a little bit of blood, realizing that that was a big hit. Like, this guy is strong. And Yuji, he just, he's a bit dazed, really, as he kind of is starting to stand back up before he senses something strange. He senses, since everybody he kind of cares about, which isn't a lot, as he put a shadow clone monitoring Ghetto to make sure nothing happened. This shadow clone is destroyed. As he doesn't know what's going on, he teleports straight there, teleporting to his shadow's last location, as he teleports there, he arrives at the Tokyo branch of Jujutsu High. As he arrives there, he looks around before seeing a gigantic explosion. Him wondering what's going on as he senses Geto's small signature, like his small kind of strange cursed energy signature, so he teleports to him immediately, getting to him and seeing him sitting against a wall on the street with half of his body missing. Yuji freaking out. Yuji freaks out, not knowing what's going on, as he tries to teleport him away, grabbing onto him and tries to teleport them away, but Geto refuses, telling him that he needs to go live his life. Like, he pretty much made him a weapon. He brought him into, he took him out of his orphanage to become a weapon. He knew what powers he possessed, and he just wanted to use him as a weapon, so don't teleport him away, he deserves this. But Yuji, he won't. Tears start running down his eyes, and this is the first time he's shown emotion in a long time, as he's wondering, like, no, like, he can't leave him here alone. He won't allow it. As he prepares to teleport them away, he then hears something behind him. He hears footsteps. Turning around to see a tall man with white hair and a white blindfold. Satoru Gojo. As he charges in, he tries to attack him, trying to defend Geto. He charges in, trying to hit him, but it just won't work. Gojo just grabbing him by the shoulder and knocking him out, putting his fingers against his putting his fingers straight on his forehead and knocking out Yuji. As he's being kind of falling unconscious, he looks and sees Gojo talking to Geto before falling unconscious and hearing a sound. He doesn't know what kind of sound it is, but he hears a sound. Hours later, Yuji wakes up in a room with strange papers everywhere and just a very strange and almost ominous room, as he's completely tied up with strange ropes and these strange papers being on the ropes. He assumes these are some sort of curse dampening papers or something like that, as he can't really use his curse energy. As he kind of is looking around, wondering what's going on, he sees Gojo sitting there on a chair. As he sees this, Gojo just tells him that he's got two opportunities. He's got two very good opportunities ahead of him, as he sees a bright future for him. As he tells him that the higher-ups truthfully just wanted to kill him. Like, they see him as a gigantic threat, but he wasn't going to allow that. He sees Yuji as quite a large ally and could be helpful in the future. And the fact that he's just a kid really isn't that bad, as he knows somebody with similar powers and just a similar backstory in general that he could meet as well. As he tells him that he's got two choices: either die right here and now by Gojo's hands, or join Jujutsu High's technical school for Jujutsu sorcerers, etc, etc. Yuji just staring at him with the most deadpan and just cold stare possible. What makes you think that I would join some bastard that murdered the only father figure I ever had? The only person that ever cared for me. Like, he said he may have just used me as a weapon, but at least he cared for me enough to use me as a weapon and didn't just beat me. At least he was there to take me from the orphanage. Where were you, Jujutsu sorcerers? Where were your Jujutsu High when I needed you? When I needed help? If I was so special, then you should have saved me back then instead of leaving me in the system to be beaten and thrown around for my entire childhood. At least he cared enough to take me out of it. I didn't care what he took me out for, but at least he took me out. Gojo just looking at him and telling him that he knows that Geto is a soft soul. He may have changed a lot, but he knows that Geto's personality definitely wouldn't have changed, and that he was still a nice person at heart. But none of that really matters now, as he is gone. Yuji just looking down with a cold stare. Gojo then bringing up his backstory, telling him about Toji Fushiguro and how he fought Toji Fushiguro and how he knows that he is his son. Yuji telling him that he doesn't know and truthfully doesn't care. Like, he doesn't care who his father is. He was a deadbeat. He left him to really die. And as far as he knows, he left his mother to die at childbirth as well. So he really doesn't care about who it was. Gojo just continuing anyway, explaining that he is a Fushiguro and is technically part of the Zenin clan. Yuji still doesn't care, but his interests are then perked when Gojo explains that he has got a brother. A younger brother, but they are the same age. Yuji looking up, kinda surprised. Gojo telling him that he knew that would get his attention. Him going and explaining that, you know, you can join, like, I'm sure your brother's extremely excited to meet you. I haven't said anything to him, but I don't know, he's got the same kind of brooding attitude that you do. You guys seem to be similar, I guess. You seem like nice people. So, yeah, you either die or join Jujutsu High and be with your brother. His name is Megumi, which, yeah, he's a nice dude, I guess. He's got kind of shadow powers as well. It's different to you. He creates like different animals and stuff like Shikigami. It's pretty cool, but yeah, he's definitely got potential, and seeing how strong you are, you could possibly help him unlocking that potential. Yuji just sighing and ends up accepting the offer to join Jujutsu High. A week passes and Yuji arrives to Jujutsu High and is put in the dorms early for safety. As this happens, he kinda arrives walking around meeting Maki, Toge, Panda and Yuta again. He doesn't really apologize for his actions, as Yuji just doesn't care, really. Like, he's a little bit sympathetic and apologizes for any pain he may have caused or that they may have caused, but he doesn't apologize for the cause, as he really just hates normal people. Maki raising an eyebrow at that and him saying like he knows that she's like has normal amounts of cursed energy or whatever, but at least she's trying. Like, there are people out there who just don't even know or don't care or just are horrible people. He can tell that she's alright. As this happens, a bunch of other people start rocking up. A bunch of other school kind of students, a bunch of third years and second years start rocking up, wanting to pick a fight with Yuji is for how much pain he's caused them, and that he was a part of the Geto group. Yuji is straight up ready to murder them all, but Gojo tells him to be non-lethal. Yuji just nodding, and Gojo tells them all to fight him at the same time, like just all go at him. Yuji just nods as they all charge at him, all using their different curse techniques. But it doesn't matter, as he and Saibot and his clones destroy them all. I'm not going to go into it because it doesn't matter, but he just ends them all, just absolutely bullies them. So, they're all put on a blanket, just folded like a piece of paper, and yeah, that pretty much happens. As that happens, a boy with spiky black hair and blue eyes arrives, walking up and asking what the situation is. Gojo introducing him as Megumi Fushiguro, Yuji's younger brother. Yuji being like, just kind of, you know, chilling out and not really, he's not superly surprised. Like, Yuji doesn't really care. Like, he's kind of fine with the fact that he's got a brother, but he really doesn't care. But Fushiguro is kind of surprised, but is also kind of fine with it. Like, he doesn't really mind, as they get to know each other quite well. As this happens, they're given catch-up lessons, and, well, Yuji's given catch-up lessons and taught junior high school kind of stuff at Jujutsu High, since he can't really go to a normal school as he's not normal. Like, this kid is actually insane. But yeah, so that kind of happens as he's taught just normal school stuff. As over the time, he is also asked to train with the first years. The first years, especially Yuta, trying to break down and remove Yuji's cold attitude, with him kinda being fine. Like, he's okay with the first years as he knows them, but he tolerates them enough, but he just doesn't like the higher years. He doesn't like any of them. He doesn't like, well, for the fact that one day wanted to pick a fight with him immediately, but yeah, but he's fine with the first years, and Megumi is pretty much his only real friend. And he has also met his step kind of sister Sumiki as well, as they kind of got along. 1 year later, Yuji's sorcerer kind of uniform is pretty much, like, I'm not gonna really lie, it's kind of the same. It's like a normal sorcerer uniform, but with no sleeves, and he's got a black hood and a mask, and that's pretty much it. So through this, they go through multiple different missions. Yuji and Megumi are finally tasked by Gojo to find Sukuna's finger at a certain high school. As they go there, they find it's not there. Megumi are calling up Gojo, telling him it's not fit there, and Gojo saying that it's extremely funny. Fushiguro is saying that he's going to punch him, but, you know, that funny little skit happens. But that pretty much happens as Yuji spreads hundreds of clones around the area. A few minutes later, actually no, it would be actually a couple hours later, a clone is finally triggered in the school as Yuji grabs Megumi and teleports straight to the clone, bringing the rest of the clones back. As they arrive, they see that it is a first grade kind of thingy, a first grade curse. Yuji, I ain't even gonna lie, this kid's a special grade already. Like, he's powerful. He is a special grade already due to his unbelievable strength and being able to face, like he's able to face Yuta on equal footing ish. He still kinda loses sometimes. It's like he will win a short amount of the time, but have you seen how powerful Yuta is? Like, his curse technique is actually unbelievable. And he also loses to Gojo, but, you know, that's that. But literally no one else stands a chance. Like, the guy could fight on equal terms with one of the strongest special grades on the planet, which was Geto. He's dead, so I can't really test now, but he's gotten a lot stronger at this point, so he would probably be able to defeat Geto. So that's kind of that. And also Yuta defeated Geto, so Yuta's stronger. And yeah, anyway, so that's that. So literally no one else stands a chance. So Yuji, seeing that this is a first grade kind of curse, decides that he's going to let Megumi fight it. he's not going to fight it. He's going to let Megumi fight it and see what's going to happen. If anything happens, then, well, he'll jump in and rip the thing to shreds. But anyway, that happens as Megumi points out the other students. Yuji didn't even notice them and didn't actually care about them since he's a psychopath. And so he, wanting to please his kind of little brother, decides, okay, he'll do it. As he gets the Saibot clones to grab the finger, even though it would be fun to fight the first grade if it became a special grade, he would take the finger to make it easier and to do less damage, and so it wouldn't absolutely murder Megumi, and he grabs the other students as well. Megumi is able to kind of fight the special grade on pretty good odds. Like, Megumi's already a semi-first grade, as he's able to fight it on good odds, actually putting their hands on it, as they fight consistently, as they finally make it outside, smashing through a building, pretty much arriving at the same place, with Gojo arriving. As he's about to step in and help, Yuji stops him, with Megumi finally defeating the first grade, with relative difficulty still being kinda hurt, but not as hurt as the original. A few days later, they then arrive at a train station, seeing an obnoxious ginger-haired girl yelling at a modeling dude, this girl's name being Nobara Kikusaki. Her noticing the group and Gojo kind of telling her that they're over here. Gojo introduces them, her judging them like usual, her finding Yuji way too dark and mysterious. Yuji gets mad and comes out yelling at her, with kinda Yuji just grabbing him by the shoulder and pulling him back before then just walking off. Nobara is completely confused. Megumi is actually surprised that he didn't completely rip her a new one and actually kill her. And Gojo, he's kind of proud of Yuji for having restraint, since he's still extremely aggressive, and if anyone says kind of anything down to him or even just looks at him funny, he's ready to kill them. So it's quite good that he didn't completely kill this girl. So as this happens, Nobara sees that those two are kind of surprised, with Nobara asking who he is. Megumi is about to answer, but Gojo cuts him off, giving her a rundown on pretty much the whole backstory, explaining that, you know, he was a part of a gigantic, you know, I guess you would call it a bad kind of crew he would hang out with, like they're kind of cursed users that tried to take over the planet or whatever, or tried to kill off a bunch of normal people. And he's a special grade, like able to throw hands with most special grades, not him because he's overpowered, but he's able to throw hands with most special grades. And Nobara is very surprised, and her asking like why are they surprised that he just walked off, and they explain that he is actually insane, and they're surprised that she didn't die. Her being taken aback by this, but she won't complain since she didn't die. As Gojo then takes them to a cursed building, with Yuji already being there, understanding that Gojo would want to take them to the kind of place at Roppongi, but he just decides, knowing that there was a curse there, decides to just chill there and stand there looking up. The others arriving, seeing him looking up, and he just looks up, assessing the area, making sure it's not a high enough grade or anything. He still wants to make this woman pay for what kind of she was thinking, as he knew she wasn't thinking anything good about him. So he wants to make sure that, or wanted to check if it was something not too strong. Like if it was like a grade 1 or anything like that, then he probably, or higher, he probably would have defeated it and like just slaughtered it or whatever. But, you know, since it's not, he decides to, you know, play a little prank. So they send Nobara up there as she pretty much sorts it, with a little bit more struggle than before. because of, well, no Yuji. As she's ready to finish, she then hears something behind her before then seeing a black shadow charge at her, just dash straight at her, before she pretty much gets ready, being completely taken back by it, has no chance to really fight back as it goes straight for her. As this happens, she just brings her arms to block, but she doesn't see anything. Her looking around and seeing nothing as she goes down, seeing that the others are there, Yuji kinda, not really snickering, but she can tell that he is kinda giggling on his little interior or whatever. As Yuji, she's asking like, wasn't there supposed to only be like one big curse or whatever, and they saw some, she saw some weird as like curse there, but it didn't attack her. It was like some sort of shadowy thing, and the other two just looking at Yuji. Yuji bringing out Saibot, and her just being absolutely enraged as she's ready to attack him, but he just ignores her as they head back to Jujutsu High. About 1 month later, the three arrive to a detention center as they're sent in with Ijichi being putting up the veil, etc, etc, as they're told that there might be a special grade there. Since Yuji's there, they should be fine with it since Yuji is a special grade, but they decide to, you know, make it worth the while and send in the other ones for a learning experience. As Yuji walks in, he explains that there's a domain right in that, kind of through that door. The others wondering what that he's talking about as he just walks straight through it, walking backwards, completely unaffected by it. The others freaking out, wondering like, why did he do that, before then them being dragged in as well by two shadows. Them freaking out, explaining like, why would he do that if there's a domain, with Yuji just being completely unworried and doesn't really care. As this happens, Yuji and the others then make it further in, seeing the dead bodies. Yuji, seeing this, immediately decides, well, if there's a cursed spirit here, might as well get rid of the bodies so that it'll be less leverage for the thing to use, and so that the others won't get blood splatters all over them. So he teleports them outside immediately. As this happens, Nobara is about to be portaled, however Yuji then sends out a clone and grabs her out of the portal before she can go through. As this happens, Yuji then looks to his right and sees Megumi as a clone pushes him out of the way as it is destroyed by an attack immediately after. Yuji looks to his left, seeing a special grade curse as he just yells at them, telling them both to leave. If they won't, then just stay back out of his way. The others are completely frozen in fear, not even being able to say a word, seeing that this is a special grade and seeing the difference in the power. They're completely terrified. Yuji just looks at the special grade. Alright, so you're the one that was supposed to be making all the hassle out of this. I guess it's time to kill you. And that is the end of this first part. If you did enjoy it, be sure to like, subscribe, all of that jazz. I'm here again with my first Jujutsu Kaisen what if, so hopefully these will be a lot more often. I've got a lot of videos upcoming and ready, so that's pretty much that. Go check out our Golden Kingdom channel, as it's pretty cool. It's a group channel between it's called the Golden Kingdom. It's a group channel between Golden What Ifs, Crown Fiend and I, and it's just a big kind of nice group channel, so go check it out. We'll be doing mostly Naofumi What Ifs there, maybe Demon Slayer, other stuff as well, I don't know. It's just random stuff that we come up with, other what if ideas that we don't want to do on our own channel. So it's kind of just that. But yeah, so that's pretty much that. Remember, all the videos and all the links and everything will be down in the description. And yeah, that's pretty much that. So just remember, God is awesome, you guys are too, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.
Go to the search.